From the 22 News Plus studio, this is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of InFocus. I am your host, Patrick Berry. Today, we are having an interesting conversation about national politics and impeachment and how the whole process works. I am very fortunate today to be joined by two Westfield State University professors, Charles DeStefano and Christopher Gullen. Dr. Christopher Gullen is a communications professor, and Professor DeStefano is in political science. I've got it right, correct?
Correct.
Perfect. Well, gentlemen, thank you both for joining me.
Thank you.
Thanks. Impeachment gets tossed around a lot, and I think more so, in the last really 10 years, but I don't really understand impeachment, what the process is. I guess, Charles, let me start with you.
Sure.
Being your background and teaching in political science, talk to me a little bit about what impeachment is.
So it's the first part for removal from office.
Okay.
So if a federal, it could be the president, vice president, judges, other.
So it's not just a president. It could be any elected office.
Right.
Okay.
So if someone is thought to have committed high crimes and misdemeanors, treason, bribery, the House of Representatives can begin the impeachment process.
Okay.
So you would have the articles of impeachment, and the House then would vote to impeach. If it's kind of like a grand jury, where if the grand jury votes, then you go to trial. So if the House votes for impeachment, then the person is going to be sent to the Senate for a trial, and it would be the Senate then that decides if the person should be removed from office or not.
Okay, so the process is it initiates in the House.
Yes.
And the House puts together, I guess, like if you think about it as a trial, they put together a case.
Articles of impeachment.
Okay, which is their case,
Yes,
right?
Basically.
But that's the only thing that the House is responsible for, right? Is kind of creating a plan to prove it, and then they move it to the Senate for like the trial.
Yes. And then you will have, I believe, members of the House who will be presenting the case to the Senate.
Okay. All right. So you mentioned briefly high crimes and misdemeanors.
Yes.
What is that?
That's a good question. It's whatever someone says it is. So there is no good definition of it.
So in the Constitution, it doesn't really specifically define what it is?
Constitution is pretty vague in a lot of ways. And that way, if you were too exact, you would never have gotten enough people to support it and ratify it. So they had to be vague enough where people could see something in it that they like, and they figure, we'll figure it out later.
So they keep it vague enough. And I think that's pretty much the way the Constitution is anyway. It's just vague enough to cause problems,
Basically.
but to maintain order.
Yep.
That's fair assessment of our Constitution.
A good way of saying it, right?
Okay.
Don't use that in your class. So kind of circling back a little bit, it's a governmental procedure. This is not a criminal procedure, right? So let me ask, a president has never been removed from office due to impeachment, correct?
Correct.
No, we've just had three presidents who've been impeached: Nixon, Clinton, Trump.
No, not Nixon.
Clinton,
Johnson.
Clinton,
Jackson.
and Trump.
Jackson or Johnson?
Johnson. Right. Andrew Johnson.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
After he was Lincoln's VP and then became president.
Right. So, but no president has ever been removed from office. They've just been impeached through the process of impeachment, right?
Is that so? Right?
Yes. So Nixon, when he resigned, the Judiciary Committee had voted to bring forward the articles of impeachment. He resigned, though, before the whole process went through.
Okay. So he was never really impeached.
Correct.
See, he chose resignation before the process even started.
Wow, yes. I didn't realize that. I thought they actually had impeached him.
They were just about to. As soon as the Judiciary Committee said they recommended impeachment, he was out.
The writing was on the wall.
Yes.
He didn't. I mean, he was guilty. So he would have been the first president impeached and removed had it gone through. But who knows?
So at the time, it looked pretty much like it was going to happen. So it was something where there was bipartisan support was building to remove him from office.
Wow.
So it was a really good chance that there would have been enough Republicans and Democrats that would have voted to remove.
Okay. So it's a governmental process. It's not a criminal process. So what happens? So you remove the president. What next?
So there's presidential immunity. And again, that's something that is not actually specifically in the Constitution. It's implied. And what the courts have thought immunity is, that has been changing over time.
Okay.
So most recently, we have Trump versus U.S., and this was after the January 6th incident. And they were looking to, the case was, can the president be charged with the crime? So what the court said in this case, they said there's core official acts, something in the Constitution, like the ability for the president to pardon somebody.
Okay.
That is absolute immunity. Then you have other official acts. And for those acts, there's presumption of immunity. So it makes it really difficult to have a case where you would say the president's not immune. Because what does the president do that can't be considered an official act? So if it's a personal or a private act, there's no loss of immunity. But then you have the Department of Justice that says they're not going to prosecute the president while the president's still in office. The thought is, let the political process go through and remove the president from office. Then if there
really is a crime,
then the president, if the president doesn't have immunity, then the president can be prosecuted.
Interesting. There is so much more to talk about when it comes to impeachment. Stay with us. We're right back after this.
This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry. This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry.
Welcome back, everyone, to this edition of InFocus. I am your host, Patrick Berry. I'm very fortunate today to have from Westfield State University, Dr. Christopher Gullen and Charles DeStefano. Thank you, gentlemen, both for being here. Appreciate your time. We're talking about impeachment, and it seems to be on our minds a lot over the course of the last 10 years or so. Charles, you were kind enough to sort of explain how impeachment works.
Yes.
Dr. Gullen, let me ask you, in your world with what you do at Westfield State, you're in communications, is impeachment on our minds more so now just because of technology, the ability for us to access information? And then, like, I look at social media as really just being the ability, it gives everyone a soapbox to stand on. So is it really on our minds more so now because of technology?
Absolutely. I mean, if you think of something like TikTok, and how TikTok has become this soapbox that anyone can get information instantly. People can find out what's going on in real time. It's exacerbated all of this because we're always on, we're always talking about it. And I mean, you think of the things that have gone on in Venezuela, or you think about the protests that were happening on college campuses last year. We all saw that playing out, right? We saw it happening right in front of us in real time. So it means that elected officials, and I'm not just talking about Trump or those guys. It just means all elected officials have to realize that people are going to be watching what they're doing constantly. So
everybody's under a microscope.
Everyone's under a microscope. And there's really, unless you're off in the middle of nowhere under a rock, you can't really escape it. It's always there. We're kind of in a surveillance state. So absolutely, people are talking about it. I mean, let's look at the fact that why do you think Trump was so anxious to save TikTok? Right. Because of the fact that TikTok is a direct channel to younger Trump supporters. I mean, that's why he wanted to keep it. It would have been stupid for him to kill TikTok. And do I think that he even knows how to use TikTok? Probably not. But he understands enough that
the benefit of it
for
his political life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I many times I would be flipping through my For You page on TikTok because I study TikTok. And I would see Charlie Kirk, or I would see Trump, or I would see daily updates or something from Reuters. We're seeing it all happen as it in real time. So it's on everybody's mind.
But that's not a good thing because and I say that because legacy media like us here at 22 News or CBS News, NBC News, the New York Times, there are too many talking heads out there spewing facts that they think. And people are buying that. Mm-hmm. So kind of circling back to the impeachment thing is so let's take President Trump, for example. The left, the Democratic side, will be pushing an agenda and having their TikTokers put out more negative information about Trump, just to filter it to change the public's mind.
Absolutely.
So I painted that in broad strokes, but that's kind of what it boils down
to. That's basically what's happening. Because I mean, I ask my students, where do you get your news? They get their news from TikTok. They get the news from Instagram. They get their news from Snapchat, X, Twitter. They're not. I mean, a lot of our younger students, young people, are not getting their news from legacy media.
Right.
So they're going to be seeing all of this stuff, and it's damaging. It's damaging to their mental health because they're seeing things that people shouldn't see.
Right.
And they're seeing a bunch of nonsense that's fake, that disinformation. Which is different than misinformation. Disinformation is fake information that's spread on purpose, where misinformation is spread by accident. But there's so much disinformation out there, regardless of what side you're on.
Yeah.
They're going to be pushing it out. I mean, TikTok doesn't really sway conservative or liberal. It's just there. And there are so many people who have the platform and are kind of going at it. There's going to be a lot of the people who are confused, and then add in AI, and
you don't know what to believe.
Exactly,
what's real anymore,
because it's become so sophisticated that you can't tell what's real and what is manufactured. So when you do that, and then you have a whole bunch of people that they're spending hours upon hours a day. And that's where they're getting the news. It's a prescription for disaster.
You made a passing comment a moment ago about your students getting their news from TikTok, social media.
Right.
Do you think that generation is smart enough to realize that most of this, 3/4 of this stuff is garbage? It's entertainment. It's not really news. And are they even less interested in news? I mean, I when I was a 22-year-old living on my own, I consumed news. I watched the major networks. I read newspapers. The sort of the neutral. But I think the under 30 or under 35 crowd really is just so disenfranchised with news because I think they don't know what's real, what to believe anymore. What are you both seeing on campus?
I mean, for me, I see about 50-50. I mean, I see students who are kind of buying into it and they believe it. I see other students who are a little bit more critical, a little bit more skeptical of looking in. Is this really what's going on? But the thing is, though, they're getting inundated so much with so much information. It's just constant. I mean, you look at the amount of content. Between the Israel-Gaza war and then the Russo-Ukrainian war. Just those two conflicts alone, the students are getting inundated with stuff, and that's international.
Right.
Like, look at what's going on domestically. What are you seeing, Chuck?
Right. So it's unfiltered, where with traditional media, you have to go through the editing process. There's only
That's what journalists do.
Right.
Is they determine what's right and wrong and provide you information. But even
they vet.
They vet. That's the best word. Right. They vet it.
So with the new media, social media, there's definitely an opportunity for democracy where more people can have their voices heard. But what we need to do as educators, and way before college level, K through 12, help students understand information literacy, where they can look at things with a critical eye. I remember when my daughter was little, and one time she said, kind of joking me, "So, Dad, it's on the internet, so I guess it's not true, right?" So it's like having those conversations at that age and helping them to find legitimate information. Now, what you said before, there's misinformation. People get things wrong, but if you get something wrong on 22 News, there's going to be retraction.
Right.
If someone spouts
and
something,
repercussions, right.
If someone spouts something on social media without any facts to back evidence to back it from, are they going to say, "Oops, I'm sorry"?
Right.
You don't have that accountability.
We are up on our second commercial break. I feel we've covered a lot of ground, but there's still so much more to go. Stay with us, folks. We'll be right back.
This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry. This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry.
Welcome back, everyone, to this edition of InFocus. We are having a fascinating conversation. It started out talking about the impeachment process of the President of the United States. We dove into a little bit about social media and how that influences it. And we will be bringing it all together in this next block. Joining me across the desk today from Westfield State University are two of their professors, Dr. Christopher Gullen and Charles DiStefano. Charles is political science, and Dr. Gullen, you're communications, social media side, political side. So we just heard the impact, Charles, of the social media, the digital side of it. And that's been around for 15 years or so. So I look back prior to President Trump impeachment twice in 2019 and 2021, I believe it was.
Yep.
The next one before that was Clinton in the 90s. And before that was, we determined
Johnson.
It wasn't Nixon. It was Johnson in the 1800s.
Right.
So Charles, my question to you is the social media, the digital side, creating a greater ability for impeachment, I guess, or pushing impeachment proceedings more so than historically?
Interesting. So if you look at the history of Congress, it's pretty common way before social media that there's someone in Congress who wants to impeach the president.
There's always someone.
Right. But that's been fringe and just not really paid attention to. But now social media gives those people who want to impeach the president a greater platform. So they can get to more people and get more people behind them. So it is possible that social media is used as a tool. It could be a way of, we are having two sides that aren't listening to each other, and they don't need to listen to each other because they all have their own media. So we're having more polarization. So it all comes together.
So, I mean, you study this stuff. So you were just a young man when the Clinton impeachment process happened. What was the difference between that and either of the two Trump impeachment processes?
So,
because social media wasn't around in the 90s.
Kind of would be interesting to think about it if it had been.
Oh my, yeah,
I know, right?
Yeah, I'm glad it wasn't. But yeah, I mean,
I was also in the military overseas at the time.
Okay.
So what I had access to at the time would have been different than people back stateside.
Right.
But
what we had access to stateside was traditional media.
Yes.
It was all vetted. It
Absolutely.
was information that was gathered, fact-checked, and vetted. Whereas now, the traditional media is still doing that, but I think in any upcoming impeachment proceedings, I think it's going to be more public opinion than real fact.
But was it public opinion back then? Because it was a media sensation. You had the Clinton
it was sex. It was
deposition for what he was being sued, and no, that was just red meat for the public.
The Ken Starr report,
right?
Yeah.
There was the secret recordings of Monica Lewinsky, and it all. In that case, it might not have been social media, but it was very much traditional media driven. That was front pages,
tabloid driven.
Yeah.
What was Johnson impeached? Do you remember?
Yes. So for Johnson, it was very political too.
Okay.
There was the Tenure of Office Act that was passed. So the concern was that Johnson would fire political appointees for who were pro Reconstruction when he was dismantling a lot of Reconstruction.
Okay.
So the act said that he could, if the Senate confirmed someone, you would need Senate permission to get rid of someone. And no, that's being discussed now. Who can the president fire or not? But this would be political appointees. At the time, it was the Secretary of War. And so the Secretary of War was fired by the president, so he was brought up on impeachment. It didn't get the votes needed in the Senate.
It didn't have the jazz, the excitement of Clinton and Trump. It's very,
Right.
very, I guess, political.
no sex, no insurrection.
Exactly, right.
Kind of boring.
Thank you. I didn't want to say that, but it was 1800s boring.
Maybe not at that time, but compared to now, I get the point.
Right,
Definitely.
right. So, do you think, in your profession, do you think impeachment will become more and more popular, more and more of a political move? I mean, we've become so divisive in our political parties that that the extremes, I think, no matter which side you're on, I think, if there's a Democrat in office, I think the Republican House and Senate will push for impeachment for whatever reason, and vice versa. Right. Do you think that will become more and more frequent?
For impeaching the president?
Yeah.
I think there's a really good chance. So,
very bluntly,
a really good chance. For impeachment, so there have been, say, judges who have been impeached over time, and that's been bipartisan. I remember years ago watching C-SPAN where there was a judge who they found he had a lot of money wrapped in foil in his freezer, always in the freezer. No, he was impeached because of bribery. So there have been cases. It's been rare, but it has happened over the years. But for the
Supreme Court Justice Thomas, I mean, wasn't he? Wasn't there suspicion of him taking maybe not money, but trips or something to get
unethical,
favorable? Yeah.
But now the Supreme Court doesn't really have a code of ethics.
No,
they have a code of ethics for all the other courts, but their ethical recommendations for themselves, they're giving themselves a lot more leeway.
It's pretty vague.
Going back to our Constitution.
It's pretty big.
Very interesting. Gentlemen, I know there is so much more to talk about, but we are out of time. I can't thank you enough. What a fascinating conversation to hear the two sides, the delivery of the information and how we're getting it nowadays, and the actual nuts and bolts of how impeachment happens. Gentlemen, thank you both so very much. Good seeing you. Good seeing
you. Thank you very much.
This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry.